to the basement.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Basement Boys podcast. I am Chris Gray. That is Devin Mitchell, and we have returned once again. Episode 13.
13, like Odell Beckham.
Oh, we're getting up there, fam. Mm-hmm. Wow, I said fam. I haven't said fam forever, like non-ironically.
Let's get it. Let's jump right in.
Let's jump right in to the news. Starting off, we got. I feel like every time we jump into these things, it's always bad news, but bad news for college football.
Yeah, man. It's not looking too good for Clemson. 14 more cases have popped up on their football team. That could be, staffers and the players, but I think the total is now up to 39 cases, give or take.
Rough.
Yeah, that's about a third of their team. What is going on down there?
I forget college teams are so huge.
Yeah, they are.
If that was 39 NFL players, like, oh.
I mean, you got bigger problems at that point, but the 39 members of the football team testing positive, like, who knows also who they've come in contact with and if they're spreading the disease, like, to more and more people.
Yeah, and like this obviously cannot bode well for college football as a whole because Clemson is always one of the biggest stars of the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes along with the fact that's coming out in recent weeks that the bigger spikes are actually with younger people right now.
Right.
Because they're young, they're stupid, they're going out to the bar, if the state's open, they're going out. It just
right.
is what it is. Not that we aren't also young and stupid, but they're younger and stupider.
Right, we're slightly smarter. Not much, but we know not to be going out just yet.
But yeah, just for college football as a whole, that is pretty much the worst sign because that is not like a small outbreak of maybe at most like 10, maybe 15 people, especially in like a big organization as a college football team, like how many people they have. But 39, like that, those are numbers that are anything but negligible.
Yeah. And you got to wonder, like, this is coming from Clemson. Like you said, one of the top programs in the country right now. This isn't, a little D3 school that no one's heard of. Everyone's heard of Clemson. They're always in the playoff picture for the national championship. You got to think, if this is happening at Clemson, is this happening at other schools and they're just doing a better job of keeping it hush-hush? Or are they just going to be like, you know what? Look what's happening with Clemson. We got to stop this shit right now. Like, we got to suspend all athletic programs, all football programs until we get this shit under control.
I believe a lot of other schools aren't doing it yet, though. I could be wrong there, but if I remember correctly, I can't name a specific school right now, I'll be honest with you, but
I know
everything I've heard about it, other than them just like focusing in on Clemson, It seems that people are just not there yet. Like, not everyone, at least.
I know I've heard some schools have made the players sign waivers stating that if they understand the risk and if they get COVID-19, that the school is not liable for it.
I guess it also matters whether or not they are like in states that are allowing them to open yet.
Right.
But yeah, just another bad turn in our hopes for having any type of sports this year.
It seems like the northern half of the country, and I'm painting a broad stroke over this, but it seems like the northern half has kind of got this under control, so to say, while the southern half is like getting hit hard right now, which will be problematic for all the restarts happening and all the teams down south. Like, what are they going to be able to do from moving forward?
Yeah, and I think we just hit another single day record for how many cases we've gotten in a day, and it was something like 30,000 or something like that.
Some ungodly, ridiculous number should not be that high.
And this is, again, just all terrible, terrible fucking news if you want any type of sports this year. Let's hope this NBA bubble thing works.
We're hoping.
All right, I guess keeping it on college football, some not necessarily lighter news, but news that makes you feel a little better is it's even hard to say that. You feel good about what the guys are doing. Let's put it that way.
I'll give you that.
Kansas State football team has come out in protest after a student tweeted out a disgustingly, horribly racist tweet.
And that's putting it lightly.
Yeah, I won't even repeat it, but
it was uncalled for. He said something, I'm paraphrasing here, so forgive me, but he said that, hey, good news, George Floyd has been drug-free for about a month now. And I'm sorry, but whoever, the kid that said that, you are a dumbass. And a dumbass. No, like, you're just a double dumbass. Like, that's where I'm going with that. And
it's not even just a dumbass. It's just a fucking piece of shit human.
Yeah. And props to K-State football team for coming together and telling the university, listen, we're not going to play. We're not going to practice. You're basically not making any money off of us unless that kid is kicked off campus or expelled or whatnot. And we put it in our bylaws that if you say anything on this level, on social media, on, oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? Posters or whatever it may be, the university could and will expel you or kick you out of school indefinitely. But it's nice to see a group of, like, a team coming together and taking a stand and realizing that it's not just, a black-white thing. It's a human right thing. And we got to stop this now so we can grow as a country and become better people in a better country.
And people always like to argue, like, oh, you're trying to take away our First Amendment rights, blah, 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 blah. But the First Amendment says you can say whatever you want and the government can't do anything for you. Mm-hmm. A college is a private institution with their own rules, obviously within the government's rules, but with their own rules, their own bylaws. You do not have to go there.
Right.
You can pick anywhere else.
Exactly. You can go to the school down the street, go to school in another state, or even go to the community college. No one's saying that you have to go to K-State or wherever it may be.
So it is the school's right to say, hey, we are providing a service to you. We can choose if or if not, you will receive that service based on your actions.
Right.
We are allowed to have that decision.
School's just trying to drop a little education on them. And if you want to be a dumbass and a horrible person, there's your door. We'll see you later.
And I think it's really amazing that it's the whole team.
Yeah.
It's not just like a few players, like maybe they're stars or whoever. All of these men, and as we just talked about, college teams are gigantic.
Yeah, they are.
Gigantic.
And you got to think that if the football team is behind this, who's to say the basketball team's not there, the baseball team, the softball team, if they have a gymnastics team, like who's to say that all the athletes, the student athletes, aren't coming together and be like, hey, we're right there with you. No more.
Yeah. And it obviously rides the wave of what George Floyd has started. And not George Floyd, but what happened to him. And it's just nice to see people using their platform in a concise way to bring about change.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, oh, we're just going to talk about it. We're going to say we don't like it. They're giving them an ultimatum. They're saying,
right,
do it or nothing.
Right.
Yeah, could they cancel their scholarships and blah, blah, blah? Another school will pick them up.
Oh, definitely.
And could they go and give scholarships to other players who might be at like a JUCO or something, blah, 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 blah? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But do you want a chance to actually win?
Right.
You're going to want the players you recruited.
Exactly. So big shout out to K-State football team. Go Wildcats. And I support your message.
Obviously, I also support the message.
But I was going to say, speaking of people supporting messages and causes, Coach K came out with a powerful video. It's only about 2 minutes and 46 seconds. But he came out and just reiterated that Black Lives Matter. It's not a black and white thing. It's a human right thing. And that, unfortunately, like, we've been at the root of this for about 4 centuries now. And it's been happening way too long. And it's time to change. And what I really liked about that was that he went and brought he called upon his experience as a West Point cadet. And in the prayer, it says, and he quoted this, so I'm quoting him, but he said, Lord, give me the strength to choose the harder right. And I really like that because that's where we are right now. We've gone to a place where there's this minority who has a loud platform that they've been able to get away with all these racist remarks, racist actions, systematic racism. And it's really hard to look and be like, hey, what can I do about this? Like, I could either take the easy road and shut up and say nothing about it, or I could stand up and face the racism head on and fight it and try to stomp it out and show the world, show the people of this country that, that's not cool anymore. That's not right, because you shouldn't treat, so-and-so differently just because they have a different skin color. Like, get to know them as a person, give them a chance. They might surprise you.
And once again, like with the Kansas State thing, I really like that he came out and he wasn't trying to play both sides. He came out concise. He came out in no uncertain terms and said, this is what it is. You know it's what it is. And whether you choose to believe that or not is exactly that. Your choice to believe that or not. It's not I saw something today that I thought that was like actually really like a powerful statement. If it's willful ignorance, it's not ignorance. Because
Mm-hmm.
you know it's wrong, but you're justifying it to yourself.
Right.
It's not because you're ignorant, because you know exactly what's going on and you're choosing to go against it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand the facts and then you're choosing to legitimize it with your own thoughts.
Right. Excuse me. Sorry. But yeah, sorry. Shout out to Coach K, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a little eye-opening, for lack of a better term.
Again, just using his platform, using his position as an older white person, which usually gets more. If you're an older white person, you get more play with older white people. Do you understand what it's like?
Yeah. They can relate to you better.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Right, exactly. So he's just using that to like be like, hey, I get it. No, we're not doing this no more. Like
Right.
But yeah. Shout out to Coach K. Proving the real like leadership that a coach is supposed to have, and that's why he's one of the best to ever do it.
Mm-hmm. I think he's only like one of 3 coaches with 1,000 wins in NCAA.
Light numbers.
Yeah. Who needs? Yeah.
All right, let's go into something actually a lot later and not be so goddamn depressing all the time. Not that they're not important to talk about, but So
One day.
fucking the UFC fights this weekend. Jesus Christ, that main event was a barn burner. One of the best fights I've seen in a long time, and there's something in the water at that UFC Apex. I don't know if it's because there's no crowd. I don't know if it's because fighters have been so like stir crazy and a lot of them have like locked in because they can't go and do all these other things. But like I said, there's something in the water over there. These fights at the Apex Center have been absolutely incredible. Every single week, fights you wouldn't think were going to go crazy are going to go crazy, and the fights you think that are going to go crazy go crazier. But yeah, Dustin Poirier, Dan Hooker was absolutely incredible.
That went to distance, right?
Yes. I do not know how. I fucking do not know how.
Because it's the water.
Like I'm saying. But so Dan Hooker comes out first 2 rounds looking great. I thought he took the first 2, came out strong, came out really mixing it up, changing levels, like throwing from different angles, and so did Dustin. But I really felt Dan Hooker just controlled distance better, just came out cleaner in the beginning, was finding his range and was doing a little better. And then after the second, Dustin Poirier just started to take over. And he was landing big shots. Both of them were landing big shots. It was great wrestling exchanges, great scrambles, that's what an MMA fight should be.
Right.
Just a little bit of everything. They were clinching, they were on the cage, they were boxing at some points, they were kickboxing at some points. Like, I really cannot describe how much of a perfect example of an MMA fight that should be.
Right.
But
sorry.
Yeah, so great for Dustin Poirier coming back from injury. Trying to remember exactly what happened to him. It's been so long. It was like 9 months.
Oof.
But either way, he got pretty messed up in the Khabib fight. Ended up sitting out for 9 months, coming back against a nightmare like Dan Hooker.
So would you say that with this victory for Dustin Poirier, does this get him into the mix of like the Khabibs, the Gaethjes, and
Well, he just fought Khabib in his last fight. His last fight was a title shot.
Okay.
He won an interim title fight to become against Max Holloway. Actually, Max Holloway moved up to become the interim light heavyweight champion, and then he tried to unify with Khabib, and Khabib just dismantled him, just absolutely just ragdolled him. Which I was actually surprised. I thought Poirier had the size and the strength and could like really wrestle. Like he had the wrestling capabilities and like the credentials. Maybe not to out wrestle Khabib, but to help give himself enough chances to win the fight.
Right.
Before Khabib smash. But that was not the case. But he also has a win over Justin Gaethje, the current interim light heavyweight champ. So I think depending on the way that fight goes, unless Conor just slides right in there, but as of right now, he's retired.
Well, we'll see about that.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
So I was going to say, so it sounds like Poirier could end up right in the mix of that light heavyweight championship pretty quickly.
I think if Gaethje wins the Khabib fight, which again, don't sleep on Gaethje in this fight. Everyone slept on Gaethje in the Ferguson fight, and he beat him up. He really beat him up. If he wins, I think that's a lot better for Dustin's chances of getting a rematch sooner than later.
Right.
But Dan Hooker, man, he looked great too. And that whole, I think it's City Kickboxing team in New Zealand. As of right now, they have 2 champions, and Dan Hooker, who is well on that path. Like, had a little setback last night, but like, he has all the skills. If he can like focus in and put it together, like his teammate Alexander Volkanovski or his teammate Israel Adesanya have. Sky's the limit for this guy. I really think so.
Beware them Kiwis.
Especially when Khabib has even come out and said like he's probably not fighting 10 more fights. You know what I mean? Like he's achieved most things he's wanted to achieve. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, would you assume that Khabib is close to just being done because he's achieved everything he could?
Yeah, he said that.
Oh, okay.
He said he's probably only got like a few fights left in him, and I think it has to be the right fights.
Right.
But also if it's for the right money.
How old is Khabib?
Mid-30s, I think.
Okay.
But fighting's a tough sport, man. Like,
oh yeah.
And
like it takes a lot to step inside that octagon and take some blows and some kicks and some slams and some missions and get right back up and do it again and 6 months later.
And I think he thinks a lot about his legacy. So he doesn't want to he doesn't want to turn into like Fedor, I guess, where Fedor was the Russian phenom, undefeated for forever, and then he lost to Fabricio Verdum, which was this big shock, and he retired for a little bit at one point, and then he came back in a fight he won against I think it was Maldonado he fought.
Okay.
A fight he won because it was in Russia and like sponsored by like I think partially by the Russian government, like because he's like a national hero.
And somehow the Russian judge got like 3 votes when everyone else got 1 vote.
But when he comes to America and is fighting in like Bellator, he's hit or miss. He's wins 1, loses 1, wins 2, loses 1. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't think Khabib wants to go down that path necessarily. I think he thinks about his legacy. So once he beats all the guys that he believes are like the best in the world and that he needs to beat, I think he'd be willing to hang it up,
to walk away into the sunset.
Yeah, just again thinking about his legacy as a whole.
Real quick question for you. Going off on the whole Khabib walking off, on the sunset on his terms as like the best of the best. Realistically, how many fighters do you think actually get to do that?
Not very many. Not very many at all. This sport is brutal and it catches up to you. And if you don't, you have to hit at the right time. There's very few people who go out on their terms. Most people are beaten out of the sport.
Right.
And even a lot of the people who quote unquote go out on their terms, they leave on a loss.
Right.
The only person who I can think really goes out on top, despite him never beating John Jones, is DC.
Isn't DC still fighting?
He's fighting Stipe Miocic in August, and I think he's saying that's his last fight because he said he was gonna retire by 40, and I think he's like 41 now.
Okay.
He literally said in an interview when he was young, "I don't want to be that 40-year-old guy still trying to fight." But he's still doing it at the top level. He's only lost to John Jones and now Stipe Miocic. And I believe if he didn't, I felt like he was starting to feel himself a little bit in that fight and like going for stuff dangerous. And then Stipe ripped some great shots to the body. But before that, DC was bullying him. Bullying. Like it wasn't even a contest. And the first fight, he knocked him out cold.
Right. Well, isn't the great thing about fighting is that all it takes is just one good shot, and then tides can turn.
Oh, exactly. That's what makes it so exciting. Because even if you're perfect example is Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen won. Chael Sonnen beat the ever living shit out of Anderson Silva for 5 rounds. Just took him down and fucking wore him out. And in the last round, last 15 seconds, like something stupid like that, Anderson catches him in a triangle choke. He taps, fight's over.
Dunzo.
And as Chael Sonnen would say, "Hey, I just thought if you tapped, the fight was over. I didn't know many won."
I might have to steal that quote. I don't know how, but I'm going to work it into everyday life.
So yeah, but I digress. Not a lot of people get to go out on their terms. Like Uriah Faber did it for a little bit, and then he came out of retirement now. GSP did it, which was a big one. But for every GSP, for every this guy, that guy, the third. You have a BJ Penn. You have a Fedor. You have a Mark Hunt. Or I'm naming a lot of heavyweights right now. Probably Anderson at this point. You have a Chael later in his career. People that were just hanging around a little too long, didn't really have it anymore, just taking a lot of damage that they didn't need to take.
Right.
And for various reasons. Some guys it's just for the love of the sport. Some guys they literally need the money.
Some guys just don't want to walk away.
Exactly. But I think the best quote on that is Cowboy Cerrone's quote. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing this till they don't let me no more. And there you go. Like,
well, from the little I know about Cowboy, that's right. That's him to a T.
Yeah. He's changed up a little bit on that recently, but I think now that he's a dad, but
The power of fatherhood.
But yeah, UFC at the Apex has been absolutely fucking fantastic. I'm super excited for Fight Island, which is Dana White just shared the first picture of the octagon on the beach, because they have one in like a stadium thing they have built kind of like the Apex, and then they have just a little bigger, and then they have literally an octagon on the beach.
That's in Abu Dhabi, right?
Yes. I forget the name of it. It was something weird. It was like Jeet or something like that. Jeet Island, or I'm probably completely off, but it was something like short like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just super excited for all these fights they're putting on, because I don't know if the quarantine's made people crazy, but they've just been absolutely stellar.
I mean, also, if you think about it, this is like prime time for UFC, because there's nothing else to compete with. Like, when they have a fight, what other sports are they going up against? None.
Nothing.
So it's like, hey, not only are you getting the fans that have been following these fighters for X number of years, but maybe you're getting that new fan that's like, you know what? I never gave this a shot because something else was always on, but let me see what this is about. And holy moly, this is amazing. Or holy crap, I can't believe this dude just like ate a punch to the chin and he got right back up and is dishing out like 5 more blows and won that fight. So why not capitalize on this opportunity and get all the eyes and make sure everyone's watching you too?
And like I said, these fights have just been incredible. The Poirier fight, the Mike Perry Mickey Gall fight last night was fucking great. There's the Sean O'Malley knockout, the Garbrandt knockout from a couple weeks ago, the Amanda Nunes fight. They were all just fantastic fights. Maybe some not as competitive as Poirier Hooker, but still just master classes. Like, I don't know, man. Like I said, there's something in the water over there, and I am very, very excited about it. But now we might actually finally, Dev, have some fucking answers, and those answers come from Major League Baseball.
I'm going to be the first to admit it. I went out there and said, I don't think there's baseball happening this season. I might be wrong. It looks like we getting some baseball.
Yeah, I was almost entirely convinced it was not going to happen. But they seem to have it figured out. I believe the Players Union can still file a grievance at this time, but I'm not necessarily but I'm not as sold on if they're going to do that.
Right.
So the tentative schedule they have for right now is spring training July 1st, the season starting around the 24th, with the Yankees Nationals.
Yep. That should be a fun matchup.
Yeah, that's actually a really great matchup. And it's the Yankees, so that's good for us.
Right. But, I mean, potentially a World Series preview.
True, and the other reason I'm happy for baseball right now is, like, this is the year for the Yankees. Even if you want to call it the COVID Cup and it's not real. What are we on now? What are we on now? 27 or 28?
28?
28 rings suck my dick.
But you look at what that team accomplished 2 years ago, making it to the, I believe it was a wild card game. When they were looking at, like, hey, ain't going to happen. Like, this team is too young. They're not going to do it. Then they come out last year and almost make it to the World Series. I believe they lost in the ALDS, I believe.
I believe so.
But the fact that they got there with all the injuries that they suffered, and it wasn't just like, oh, hey, like, yeah, we lost, one dude. No, like, I believe at some point that whole team was just on the now IL list.
It was incredible. Incredible.
Right. Like, you want to talk about next man up? That's what the Yankees were doing with their AAA affiliate. I forgot the name of that team.
The Scranton Yankees, I think, right? Scranton Wilkes-Barre Yankees.
Is it the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Yankees?
I think it used to be the Yankees. They used to have a minor league team named the Yankees, but no, I think it's the Rail Riders.
Oh, damn. I didn't even know that.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember.
But either way, you look at, like, what they were able to accomplish with, like, injury-plagued year, and just think, like, what they could do with a full year of healthy bodies. And
a starting fucking pitcher.
Which they went out and got probably one of the best in the league right now in Garrett Cole.
And then who else is still in their rotation?
Severino.
Tanaka's still there, I believe.
Yep.
Right? He's got another year.
Yep. You got James Paxton.
I forgot about Paxton.
Oh my goodness. Who's number 5?
CC's just come back since it's a short season. Just get the ring, dog. Like,
imagine if he did. Yo, can he come back as a pitching coach?
Okay, hold on. First of all, why is no one talking about this? CC, come back for the fucking 60-game season and get a fucking ring, bro.
Yo,
like,
but even so, like, just imagine if he came back, like, as a pitching coach, or like.
Nah, fuck that. CC, get another ring. Oh my god,
I'm all for that.
Happy. Especially because he got dogged out by the Astros.
Oh my god, that was a rough outing for him. Like, I'd love to see. But
I just got such a warm place in my heart for CC. Like,
can we start the campaign for CC comeback?
Yo, hashtag CC comeback. Put it on your Twitters right now, this very second.
CC comeback.
I literally just thought the same fucking thing.
Yo, but seriously, you put him as, like, the number 5, or even have him work out of the bullpen and have him as, like, your 6th, 7th inning, and then you go to oh my god, who's the 8th inning guy? It's not Robertson anymore. Oh my god. Well, either way, though, like, you use him as a setup guy just to get you Chapman, like, this could be the recipe.
You can blame it all on Altuve. He wore a wire. 'Cause he's a fucking dick.
CC, come back.
I'm sorry, I had to. I really had to. Um,
But
Once again, this is going off the fucking rails quick.
this is why we're not rail riders.
Hey, I see what you did there, Dad.
Hey. But let's actually get back to it, though. Like 60 games starting around July 24th. Players are getting a full pro rata salary, which basically equals like 37% of their salary from what I was able to read. Not bad for the players. I mean, it's going to be a little awkward not being able to high five or fist bump your teammates, when they smack that ball right out the park and everything. But on the plus side, you don't have to worry about stepping in like shoot out sunflower seeds and tobacco and bubble gum.
And you don't have to worry about your teammates ripping your jersey off to expose your fucking wire, Altuve.
No, my wire.
um,
But the most important thing, though, is that the players will be tested multiple times a day. And that if you do test positive for COVID, you need 2 negative tests to be able to come back.
and I think another thing I think is like really big factors in this is there's no threshold to, okay, if this many players get sick, we got to shut it down. You know what I mean? They're working very hard to not paint themselves into that corner. They set like a soft boundary, like, hey, if we start hitting 20% of players, we'll think about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or 5% of players, or whatever it is. And then also the other thing, I think people are not talking about as much in this whole scenario is not only are they, because yeah, they're talking about they've all you've been hearing about is, oh, they're offering this much money for this year, they're offering that much money for this year, they're offering this much money for this year, but this counts as a year on guys' contracts. So these guys who just signed these huge deals are not getting the money that we all expected them to. They're getting a significant amount less.
Right.
Depending on the length of the contract. Like this affects 3-4 year deal guys more than it affects 10-year deal guys. As far as percentages of what they're losing, but I just think that's not getting talked about enough. I think that's a pretty big deal. Like, I think the concession that they're giving up is a big deal.
Yeah. I think everyone is just shocked that baseball is actually coming back. And they're like, oh my goodness, like they've figured it out. They got the deal done. And they're not actually like looking at the nitty gritty details of, oh wow, like someone might be losing a decent chunk of money. But I propose this question to you. How does this affect guys that are on that contract year or signed for like a 1-year deal? Like, do you think that they're going to come out and like work harder and play harder and try to get their big deal, or do you think they're gonna be like, I'm just gonna play like I usually play and hope like I can get paid?
I think guys on the contract year, no matter what, want to prove something, because it's the same thing on like a UFC contract fight. It's the same thing on like a contract year for any other league. It's everything's what have you done for me lately? Like, there are certain exceptions for the rule where a guy can have a down year, but you like it's like Peyton Manning could back in his day could have a down year, and still people would be like, all right, though, it's fucking Peyton Manning, let's fucking relax.
Right.
And he would still get money, but especially these fringe players, like, they might be good, they might not. Do we want to invest in this guy? Like, blah, 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 blah. Or just the players who, like, the fill out the roster players, whose just spot in the sport is always up for grabs.
Right.
At least at the major league level. So I think that's always important to people, but I think this could either be really good or really bad for those people because baseball is a game of streaks.
Right.
Whoever comes out hot is guaranteeing themselves a place in the playoffs almost. They don't have the same they don't have nearly the same time. It's almost like a third of the season. Almost, not exact, but so people come out for streaks for the first third of the season, first half of the season, and then the second half of the year just slide all the way down and are out of the playoffs when they led the first half of the year in first place.
I mean,
that happens.
Look at the Nationals last year.
Exactly.
They were, I believe, like 19 and 30 something by the time like end of May, early June. And it looked like they were going nowhere. And shit, they turned it around and were able to win the World Series.
So I think that's going to be good and bad for players on those contract years because some guys will come out hot and look like monsters and get signed to deals that they have no business actually getting signed to. And then some guys will come out underperform and not get the deal.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just happy baseball has a plan, is coming back in some way, shape, or form.
We getting sports back slowly but surely.
Hopefully. As long as these corona pockets start getting themselves under control again.
You hear that, South? Get your shit together.
Hey, Florida. I'm looking at you. All right?
You too, Texas.
All right, guys, but I think that's just about enough for us today.
Hey, yo, real quick question, though. That's a pretty dope-ass shirt. Where'd you get that?
Oh, if you just... This shirt right here?
Yeah.
With this cool logo? And maybe this cool logo on the back?
Oh, shit, man. That's pretty hot.
You know, you can just head right over to facebook.com/basementboyspod, hit the shop now button, and this shirt could be yours. And I think 5 to 10 business days, somewhere around there. I don't remember exactly right now. But yeah, go check out the store. New designs coming all the time. I will keep working on it.
Don't forget, get your dog some merch too, because we love dogs. They're good doggos, and they just want to be repping the cool pod and get a good pat on the head.
Right? They want to be the goodest boys. And to be the goodest boys, they need to rep
the Basement Boys podcast.
Exactly. All right, guys. We are the Basement Boys. This has been episode number 13. See ya.
Deuces.
Welcome to the basement.